Good. It's me, Henson, President and Founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. It's Friday, so it's time for our Agile, Not So Agile episode, and I thought we'd publish something that I read this recently, and it took me to a place where I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. It was riding on the MVP concept, the minimal viable product. Thank you. I don't know what's up with me today. And someone asked if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling overwhelmed or just outside of the zone, that you deserve an MVD. I'm like, what's an MVD? And it was explained to me it's a minimum viable day. And I was like, interesting. So how many times do we find ourselves in a position where we need to, let our hair down, unwind, and just have one of those MVDs, right? It's the MVP version of a regular workday. You know, the concept of an MVP is just to make something quick, simple to implement, and the minimum feature set necessary in order for it to deliver value to the customer, right? It's avoiding things that are lofty, effortful, and costly. You want to just keep those things out of the way so that you can do things the way that are going to be the most lean, the most efficient, and it makes sense. But when it comes to building things that way, sometimes trying to achieve MVPs causes you to have increasing stress, right? Poor work-life balance, feeling of just being thrown everywhere. It's just, you have to ask yourself, what can I do to apply these minimum viable concepts to a workday, and can it be done? What kind of things would constitute that? Where would you go? When you feel like you're just in that place, that dark place where it's tight chest, sense of impending doom, a million racing thoughts going through your mind. What am I going to do? Why did I wake up today? Right? Those kind of things. Um, you know, if I had to make some kind of correlation between those kind of days and what's happening in your life, probably you're being overworked, you're neglecting your self-care, you're having extreme pressure from colleagues or from friends or from relationships, and there's this critic inside of you that's telling you that you can't do anything right and what's wrong and how can you be better. When you add all those things together, you get like the perfect recipe for just total stress and anxiety. So for me, I think it's trying to figure out how to have a good day. And one of the authors that I just read, her name is Rebecca. She talks about the 5 Ps. So I'm going to talk to you about the 5 Ps of having a great MVD, a minimum viable day. Here we go. The first P is to be clear about the purpose. What's the purpose of the day? You got to realize that the key qualities for a minimal viable day are going to be that it has to deliver some value. It has to be lean. You have to do the absolute minimum. You have to ship something. So you have to do the day and get through it. Don't give up. And that it has to be insightful. So with delivering value, you want to achieve small things that count as a win, whether it's making your bed or gaining some rest time, whatever you need to do, find a way to get the win. For lean, do the minimum. Prioritize what you absolutely need to do and forget about the rest. Make sure you make it all the way through today. Don't give up. Eat the frog first if you have to. That's a Mark Twain quote, right? And then finally, use life as an exercise to learn. Be curious, even if you don't feel like you're making progress. You're doing more than what you think you're doing, and I think that that's going to be incredibly helpful for your first P. The second P is prioritize, like you've never done it before. You need to understand that sometimes when you're trying to prioritize things, you have to use a metric to figure it out. And high, medium, or low sometimes just doesn't cut it. Even when I'm teaching Agile classes, I like to use Moscow, must, should, could, would, right? That's going to help you get to where you need to be. But what kind of things constitute must-haves on a workday? That's a question, right? Sending out your most important emails first. Do the one big meeting they absolutely can't postpone or get rid of. Work in some self-care as part of your must-have, whether it's walking, stretching, or for some people, eating a cake. I don't know, just something that's going to help you stretch and something that's going to help you get to where you need to be, as long as it's not stretching your waistline. I think eating a cake is probably not a good idea. But some items that you say, some things that I'm not going to do today, set those aside too. I'm not going to beat myself up, and I'm literally not going to do anything that can be done tomorrow instead. If it's something that can be done tomorrow, I'm going to do it tomorrow. If it has to be done today, I'm going to do it today, right? And you could define a few should or could haves, but you need to make sure you get the must-haves done. You need to make sure you identify the things that you're not going to do. That's what I call strong prioritization skills. Coming in strong at number 3 is postpone. Postpone anything that can be done tomorrow. We briefly touched that. But you have to ask yourself, what can I do tomorrow or next week? Once I've regained my energy and I have another power crystal, right? Who do I need to be honest with about how I'm feeling today so that they can help me move a few things off my plate? Sometimes it's just saying, hey, I can't do it today. I recently had this happen. So my son was involved in an auto accident and I had to push some things off my plate. There was just no way I could keep up with all the responsibilities and things that I had to do. And it was humbling. It was hard, but I was able to do it. And it felt good after. Sometimes I find myself asking, well, there's no one else that can stand in for me. I need to look and say there has to be someone that can stand in for me and do some of the things that I do. And, what can I just pull off altogether that I probably shouldn't be doing in the first place? This is the oldie but goodie. If you can delegate, delegate. Get somebody else to do it if it's something that you can. And last but not least is performance, measuring performance based on your personal objectives. Don't be tempted to measure your day based off different success measurements than the ones you had set out. Did I do the day? Did I not kill anyone? Do I feel okay at the end of the day? And can I still do tomorrow? That to me is an MVD. No self-hate, no looking angry, no pointing things out and being viral. You want to make sure you're just having the best day possible. And then the real last one now, because I know I said last one last time. It wasn't. This is the real last one, is ponder. And this is our chance to reflect and be curious, and I think that sometimes we really overlook this one, much like I did. Kind of embarrassing. But maybe use some of the day to be reflective about why you're feeling run down or why you feel like you have anxiety or stress or what can you do to make it better. Reflect on what's going well and talk about how you can do those things more often, because that's probably a good idea. Reflect on what you want to achieve for longer term goals and longer term priorities, and build out the principle of Moscow in your life. But some of the examples that I like to give, my daughter, she's phenomenal at journaling. She journals every single day. And it's usually just a small page, but she writes down what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what things happened that day. And it's good to keep a record. Meditation, focus on breathing and just let things out, right? Carve out 10 minutes. It sounds so crazy, but just close your eyes and breathe. And I'm telling you right now, that's awesome. Now, I think my favorite part of this entire article that I read was where Rebecca goes in and talks about what her MVD is like. She says, this is an example of what one of my MVDs looks like. I work from bed and do the very minimum possible. I play classical music in the background. I get into basic wins, short emails, meetings, scheduling things, postponing things. I stay off of video because no one wants to see my soggy anxiety face. I do some journaling on what I achieved last week personally and why I'm feeling like crap and what I can do to avoid this in the future. I brainstorm ideas for the rest of my week, have a hot bath at the end of the day. Oh, and I eat a cake. And I thought that's kind of cute, right? And I think that if you look at things this way and you look at your life this way, it's going to make you better rested. It's going to help you not burn out. It's going to help you gather great ideas. It's going to help you practice self-care. And it's going to help you see yourself as a living, breathing human being and not a machine that's just invincible, right? I think that when you just take a step back and look at things holistically and look at the big picture approach, it's going to help you really understand who you are better. And it's going to help you be a better person so that you in turn can help better serve others. So I hope this information was helpful for you. I hope that it helps uplift you on this Friday. And most importantly, I hope you have an amazing weekend. Nothing like tying Agile into a Friday post. I promise next week I'll try not to do that. But until then, I want you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.